doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly on People's Radio United. I'm Tim Best Buzz. I'm here with Nolan Hack, and we have a new guest host today, Cedric. How are you doing today, man? Welcome to the show.
Pretty good. Happy to be here. I've enjoyed listening in to you guys, so it'll be good to actually be able to talk back to you for once.
Yeah, you're one of the 6 or 7 listeners we got. That's awesome.
It's good. It's all right.
How you doing today, Nolan?
Doing okay. Getting a little cold, at least for California standards. Getting chilly, I should say. Getting chilly.
Yeah, I got the heater on. That's rare.
I have it on too here in Texas, but yesterday it was 75 degrees, so I was like, this does not feel like winter.
Every time I've ever been to Texas, it's been like terribly, terribly hot.
Yeah.
I only went this summer, but yeah, I mean that probably explains it. But it's ridiculous.
I mean, Texas actually has it's like one of the weirdest places. Like it has a lot of variance in its weather patterns. I remember once it snowed in a place, it flooded in a place, and like there was like a tornado all in the same place. They're just in different parts of the state.
Wow.
So it's like big enough to you to experience some crazy stuff.
Lots of extreme weather in one small area. So yeah, what is everybody working on, Nolan? Let's start with you. Anything new coming up?
I'm working on recuperating and trying to get back at it once the new year starts. Just indulging in some self-care and definitely a little restless. I miss working. I miss being active in the movement, but I'll hopefully be back soon enough out in the streets doing all that, but doing the People's Weekly, which is certainly a part of the movement, and happy to be here as always.
Yeah, and you got Who's Hot Culture on Wednesdays, which is an awesome show with you and Kel.
Thank you.
That's a show I enjoy because I'm not on it. So Derek, anything you're working on activism related you want to talk about, or save it for later?
Well, we can save it for later. Not really activism related. Mostly, I'm like in like this winter break period. I'm like a double master's degree student, so I go back like January 20th. So up until then, like I'm going to be working on some like professional certifications. So like I too am I'm kind of taking this month and January off. Or not off from activism, but just like on a lower setting, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta handle your studies and your stuff like that.
What about you?
Me? Well, we just do People's Radio. Like I said, we have the show Wednesday. We have the show today. We have my non-objective opinion. I talked to Steve Shagwell. I thought the law has some new episodes coming up soon, so that should be quite exciting. Another show I enjoy because I'm on it very little, if I talk at all, which is nice. I just got to sit there and produce, kind of like your guys' show on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess let's get started with what we have to talk about today. I think all the topics are pretty much related to the Mueller investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll start with number one. Like, who's next to be charged in the Mueller investigation, and do you think they'll make a deal?
I've been surprised at how many people have already made deals. I mean, he was really, really smart to keep that secret until like the day it was announced. Because Flynn started out like making like all these hems and haws about wanting to get immunity, and then he was denied that. And then I think he did like a couple other interviews, but I hadn't really heard anything from him until this most recent court thing where it was like, oh yeah, he's working for the government. So I'm just happy to see them use the same tactics that they used on Dope Boys back like in the 80s and 90s in this administration. That makes me happy.
Oh, finally going after some real criminals.
Yeah.
That's the thing that confuses me. To people like, oh, we're rooting for the FBI. I'm like, the FBI locks up. When I look at the J20, I know a lot of them are getting off right now, which is awesome. But just the fact you investigate activists and follow, I mean, like we were during Million Mask March on November 5th. They were following us around. How many man hours do you need to follow around 14 anonymous members walking around through downtown LA? It's kind of stupid. But I mean, on the other side, this is probably something good. They should have been arresting criminals like politicians, bankers, and corporate CEOs a long time ago. And I hope it continues. And I hope that becomes one of their main goals, along with the Nazi terrorists we're getting rising.
Yeah, it's funny. Every time I tell somebody down here about that, like about there was like a report in 1999 about white supremacists like infiltrating law enforcement, and then there was one in 2006. And then I think there was one in 2012. And then I just read another one that was like, oh, it's been 20 years and like we've done nothing about this problem that we reported on like so many years ago.
We've done a lot about it. We opened the doors to let more of them in.
Well, yeah, except that. So I'm hoping that they will get back on that. But even if they don't, as long as they just keep bothering each other, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Leave us alone and focus in on one another.
Yeah, lock up some rich white guys for once. Who do you think's next? I'm thinking it's going to be either Trump Jr. or Kushner. I know a lot of people think that, but it kind of makes sense.
I was thinking Kushner as well, but like, I don't know. There's still part of me that like doubts whether rich people in this country really ever like go to jail, because they hardly ever do.
Well,
and
I'm not saying jail. I'm saying like a deal.
Yeah, be indicted. Do you think they would take a deal? Because they're like a real family oriented. I mean, maybe Kushner would, since he's not like blood related to them. I could see maybe him like saying, "Oh, I can't go to jail," and like doing something. But I think Trump Jr. is less likely. Or if he did go, it would just be to kind of protect his dad. I don't really see either one of them as being able to survive prison, like
No, of course.
Yeah,
I think real prison for very long. But
I think Kushner will roll really fast because his pops is in prison for the same basic,
Oh, is he?
Yeah, his dad, or he was in prison for. I think he's still there. For can you look that up, Nolan, real quick? I can't get to a screen.
I can.
Yeah, but I think he's still there. But I know he was in prison for some kind of big, scam he did with, scamming rich people out of money. I think it had something to do with property dealings or something. But yeah, I don't think he wants to go to prison. And
Okay, yeah. So he's an American. He's a real estate developer. He was convicted of illegal campaign contribution, tax evasion,
that's
and
what it
witness
was.
tampering,
Yeah.
and served time in federal prison. Damn.
Yeah. So I don't.
Y'all
I mean,
already felons.
oh yeah, but I don't. I think Kushner will roll because he doesn't want to go to prison. I mean, look at him. Like you said, I don't think he survived there, but he'd go to a nice federal prison. But just
Yeah, true.
you got to wonder. I mean, they say the first law of nature is self-preservation.
True.
Is
I mean, he does have kids now, so maybe if it was like, I don't know, man, 5 years, I still can't, like, it takes a lot of balls, like, and you have to have a lot of proof to, like, go after an administration's family. Like, Mueller would have to, like, have some big shit. I mean, he's hinted several times that he does have, like, a lot of the court documents, like, it'll say in various places, like, this is not all the information we have, like, more important information is going to be forthcoming. So, like, he always drops these hints that he has a lot more revelations, but I'm just thinking of, like, the cojones it takes to, like, go after, like, the powerful's family members. Not just, like, their cabinet members. Like, these people are related to.
Yeah, well, how many presidents let all their family members work in the White House?
Exactly.
That's kind of unprecedented. But the thing is, they are family, but you have to kind of ask yourself, do you really believe that Donald Trump Jr., what's his brother, Eric Trump, and the weird name Ivanka Trump, aren't just waiting for their father to die to inherit all they can from him.
Oh, I definitely think that they are, but I think
So
they,
if you can get him locked
yeah.
away, he's not going to last long. Look at him.
He really wouldn't. He wouldn't last 2 days in prison. Honestly.
I'm gonna quote the Nazi alt-right right now and just say Trump is a cuck.
I actually love that word and that insult just because it reveals like white men's obsession with black men and like our sexual bodies and like it's just funny. It's just funny to hear a bunch of white men always using that word.
I swear I didn't know what the word.
Almost exclusively associated with black men having sex with like their white wives.
That's their biggest fear, right? I guess. But the whole thing is, I didn't know what the word meant, and Steve Shagwell explained it to me. I was like, no, I thought it meant like chicken, or you know what I mean? It sounded like a bird thing, like cuckoo bird, or so. It was like cluck, I don't know. And then I was like, wow, these cats is like well into the porn.
It's still a great Freudian slip, though. It's great. It's great. It's my favorite insult.
Wow.
I would actually nominate that word cuckold for like the word of 2017. It's the one that brought me the most joy, I think.
Well, I'm glad for you. That's happy holidays.
Thank you. Got to take my joy where I can.
Amen to that.
Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of rumors going around right now. I believe, what is the date today? Is the 22nd. I think it's tomorrow night or sometime before Christmas. There's rumors that Trump might fire Mueller.
I don't know if it'll be before Christmas, but I do think like as it goes on and more people start like testifying, like I want to say like the first court dates for this case is supposed to start like in early January sometime. So I think once people start really talking, he'll be more pressured to do so. Right now, he's trying to pretend that like he's not bothered by it, but I don't know if he knows that he's a bad actor or that he's just obviously been so rich that he's never had to be sincere about anything. So it's like when he lies, like it's very apparent.
He's never had a consequence for anything he's done.
And that's true. Yeah, that's true. That reads across his whole family, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Mueller's, like I said, Mueller's up in his, I think we talked about this last week, he's up in his financial records now. And as we said, I think it was last week or the week before, it's pretty much common knowledge that Trump has laundered money for pretty much all kinds of organized crime families and diplomats from other countries and stuff. So that could be the way they're going. That's what I've thought for a while. That's where they're going to get him. On past crimes, not anything that he's doing now.
I actually think that it's a lot more likely that somebody high up, or maybe not him, but somebody high up will probably be convicted for something like, if the trial is allowed to proceed.
Like a fall guy?
Yeah, like money laundering, campaign finance, something like that. Like, I feel like it would be really, really hard to prove the conspiracy part. That was always kind of like a long shot. Kind of like the most I've ever hoped for this case is this, that maybe someone high up would get convicted, and he would just poison his re-election bid, just through a lack of confidence, which I do think people feel. But he does have people who just will follow him no matter what.
You got 40 former U.S. attorneys and Republican officials. They signed 2 separate letters to Trump today, warning the president warning the president against impeding Special Counsel Mueller on his investigators. So don't fire Mueller. That's the statement from former U.S. attorneys and part of the GOP. Of course, Trump never listens to anybody, so you take that with a grain of salt. But
yeah, basically, it's kind of hard to. This administration has been so. I mean, everything that I think anyone ever criticizes America or this system for. I feel like they represent almost perfectly, almost comically. But at the same time, like, he is a bit unprecedented just in the level of just
More Americans approve of Bob Mueller's handling of
the level at which he does not care and his ineptness. Yeah, those are definitely unprecedented, I think.
He is a top, like 99 percentile liar in the Oval Office. They've all lied, like you inferred there. But
I believe they someone's done the research and said he tells 5.5, I believe, lies per day since he's been average per day since he's been in office.
that seems low.
That seems low. Yeah, that seems.
Well, I think these are verifiable, lies.
Right.
Someone went through all his speeches and said, like, I mean, I'm sure he lies to everybody that we don't see, but public lies. What?
Okay, we got Salon says 9 times a day. Mashable says 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5 is what I had heard maybe about a couple weeks ago.
Washington Post says 5.5. So I'll go with 5.5.
Yeah, it's between 5 and 10, definitely.
Yeah.
That's still, to be a president talking to the people in an age of information where you can literally just Google it, as they say.
You know what? But that's our fault. It pisses me off that, like, in our debates, like, when they'll, like, bring up, like, a quote that some candidate has said, and, like, the candidate will be trying to, like, pretend like they didn't say it or they didn't mean it in a specific context, and they're totally fibbing. Like, at this point in time, like, we have the technology to just do instant replay. Like, there should be no space for any public official to do things like that. Because every time you even think about lying, somebody should be playing back to you your exact words and the exact context that you said it in.
Yeah,
Well, now they'll fire you from the White House press corps if you do that.
We'll talk about a tangent. I mean, you have these politicians, Democrats, Republicans, all just blatantly lying to the people. And like I said, in the day of information where you can prove their lies very simply. And these journalists don't press them. They're scared of losing access. It's really, this is not what the First Amendment in journalism is supposed to be about. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
That, and you have friends of Trump in the media, which doesn't help. So we have less options to actually press Trump on his BS. Even Dan Rather, who hid a lot of news from us for a long time, he wrote a book about how many things journalists can't ask, or are scared to ask, or are told not to ask, or they're playing the other side so they don't ask, to help this said dirty politician or famous person of the day, whoever it is.
It's kind of like also in the nature of being kind of in communications. Like, if you work for this big station and you want this person to continue coming and giving you interviews, you probably have to, if you don't promise what questions you will or won't ask, you probably have to at least ask them or present them in a light that doesn't make them look like a total idiot or monster. Just because once you get that reputation for doing that to the people you interview, why would anyone else come to your show?
That's true, but still, that's a journalist's job.
True, yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
I mean, imagine if every journalist did that, though. They'd have no choice but to come on there, to be, or they're not going to get heard.
And there should be, especially for, like, elected officials, there should be, like, just shows and things that you just should have to do, where you just have to take unfiltered questions from the public about any subject, having been given, like, little to no, pre-knowledge of what they were going to ask. Like, these people work for us, and we need to get back to, well, I don't know that we were ever there, but we need to get to a point where it actually feels like these people work for us and not they come out and they say literally whatever they want, and their base just laps it up.
Yeah,
and nobody follows up with that second question.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been talking a lot on this show about more parties are needed, in my opinion, at least. Full transparency. We need somebody for the people. I mean, that's one of the topics. Let me pull them back up again. I got so much stuff open here. Let's just throw them all out here. I guess since we traditionally let presidents get away with almost any crimes and literally murder, and Trump seems to be far, far above any law so far. How far will the people let this go, and what can we do to stop it if we choose to? Collectively, I guess.
Lord, the question of questions.
I mean, because just think about it. I mean, there's war. Hillary Clinton's a war criminal. Barack Obama's a war criminal. Bill Clinton's a war criminal. Bushes are both war criminals. Trump is a war criminal.
Every president in U.S. history is a war criminal.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I go back to the ones in our lifetimes, and people always say, no, this one wasn't, or that one wasn't. That was my guy. But yeah, they all were. And Trump is no different. But we let that slide. Now they all work for corporations. We let that slide. Like, how much? What are we going to let slide? It's pretty likely Trump has at least raped somebody, maybe molested children, or young girls anyway.
And Doug Jones has already come out and said, look, we need to let that go. We need to move on. Stop talking about this.
I did see that yesterday. That was disgusting.
And I called that myself. Once he became the opponent. Well,
okay. But here's the thing. Right now, we can't be 100% either way on that, even though we pretty much assume that's the case because of all the witnesses and how many times it's come forward. But let's say that's not the case. Let's say he's innocent of that. He's blatantly racist. When are people going to do something about that? You know what I mean? It's just like
blatantly inept,
and corrupt. I mean, there's so many things you can get this guy on. That, we should be out in the streets, in my opinion, 24/7. Just like, no, we're not leaving. Surrounding government buildings, the White House, don't let them in or out. Their homes.
The reason we're not doing that, I feel, is because, well, most people know that the people who support him don't support him because of any facts, don't support him because he's going to do what he say. Well, don't support him because he's going to actually follow through on what he says he's going to do. Like, I can't tell you how many interviews I've read where there are Trump supporters going, oh, well, as long as he tries, or there's nothing that will, stop me from voting for him. Like, they've essentially already said that. So it's like, yeah, you can get out there and you can protest, but ultimately, the people who follow him because he says and does things that alleviates the racial anxieties and, I guess, to a smaller degree, economic anxieties that they feel or claim to feel. Because, they like to say that they voted for Trump for economic reasons, even though that's not really borne out in any study. That's
all words. When they see what he's done for their economics and what matters in their life financially, they're going to give them about 4 or 5 years. They're going to be devastated.
Well, some of them already are, but then one of the many funny things about racism, they blame the economic problem that they have had exacerbated by Trump on us, on black folks, on Mexicans, the Muslims. So
it's never the corporations that don't pay us and don't give us time. It's these darn Mexicans taking our jobs.
It's always somebody else. I mean, you can go back to George Washington. Oh, the natives are everywhere. They have to watch out for them. The British.
Scapegoat everybody except the rich and the ultra. Yeah, that's crazy.
This is the same. It's the same old story, and we've asked this question before on this show. What is it going to take for the majority of the country, any color, to go against Trump? And I don't just mean, put on your pussy hats, knock some native people out of the way during a women's march. I mean, actually going after this administration on a daily basis, putting serious...
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it is either.
Yeah, I don't
Because, well, first of all, but especially here where I live, and I can tell you, like, places close to the border, regardless of what a lot of people tell you, they voted for this administration because they are, and there are a lot of studies that actually show this as well, is that the dominant class is like super psychologically paranoid about what the changing demographics of the country mean. And so here, especially like if you live near the border, that stuff gets a lot of applause. Even though like Texas knows that it can't really ever have a border between, first of all, like there would be no Texas economy without Mexico, so it's really like a moot point. Like I want to say, like when they had like some kind of procedural vote on it, nobody from Texas actually supported it or voted for it because.
Wait a minute. There'll be no Texas economy. I heard that without Mexico, every white person in Texas would be a billionaire right now.
That is not true, and everybody secretly knows that it's not true, but. But because of the demographic situation, it does serve them to go along with that and to kind of make this about national security and securing the border. Securing the border from whom? Like, this is a fear about what the country is going to look like in 30, 40, 50 years. And that's why I don't feel like people are going to do anything about it, because especially the dominant class, like they're trying to play this off as a lot of different things, but it's really this one thing.
Yeah, and Trump calling Latino people basically drug smuggling rapists with cantaloupe calves doesn't help either.
Which again flips the narrative. Is it over 90% of Americans living in Mexico are illegal? I have not heard one American politician, not one Republican, say, you know what? We need to help Mexico get their illegals out and bring them back home.
They're usually the ultra wealthy living there too, though. A lot of times.
Yeah. Yep. It's not about being fair. It's about getting what you want, and other people pay for it.
That should be changed, switched out with "In God We Trust" on the money.
Get yours. I got mine, man. That's what they should put on there. I got mine.
And then when you put Obama on a bill, because if America keeps surviving another 100 years, they'll put Obama on a bill. It'll say "Get yours" on his bill. It'll say "Get yours" because they have to make it look stereotypically black. So.
Get yours. What else? I should have came up with more. I feel like I should have like more like taglines off the top of my head.
More money, less problems.
They could put that on that drone privilege.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
That's actually terrible. That's actually terrible.
Put that on the back of Obama's bill.
That's terrible.
When he's on the $200 bill, it'll say "Get yours" on the front with his ugly face. And then on the back, it'll say drone privilege.
Are they still doing that Harriet Tubman thing where they were going to put hair? I really wish they wouldn't do that. Well, I know people were excited about it, but I didn't.
I think people was pretty upset about it.
Trump is trying to kill it, and I'm with you, Derek. When I originally heard about it, I remember how my whole day went that day, because in the morning, I see on the news, they're giving Harriet the 20 and they're taking Jackson off. They're taking a slave owner off and they're putting a former slave on it. Oh my gosh, this is great. People actually making some progress. And then within 6 hours, the news
like, nah, son. He's going to be on the back.
No, thank you. Leave it with Jackson.
Yeah,
you can do that.
Yeah, you can leave it with. Yeah, I agree. You can leave it with Jackson.
I don't know. I think, you know me and these presidents. I don't like any of them. But
my favorite.
Yeah, why can't you just have an eagle or something on it? I mean, why does it have to have somebody?
Oh, we're not saying leave it Jackson on there because we like Jackson.
Yeah.
We're saying
we don't want.
I don't want Harry to put on there with him.
Mm-hmm.
So he can just have the entire thing.
I don't think she should be on there alone either. I mean, I think maybe
there's
nobody.
an argument for that, but I wouldn't be as upset if it was just her by herself.
But what's wrong with having her on it alone?
It would be still like a symbolism issue.
It's because it represents the country that's oppressed people so much, and it's like, now look what we did, it's all better. That's the way I look at it.
And she spent her entire life kind of as capital. So, like, to put her on, like, money, like, there's a symbolism question. Like, some people don't take it that far, but I would be less upset about it if it was just her alone. It would still be a symbolism question, but I would be less upset about it. But since you're keeping him on there, just let him have it. That's fine.
Let's just put Nolan on all the bills. Call it a day.
I feel like that would mark the value of the bill down, though. Like, I feel like if it was like a black person on there, it'd like.
Well, you can't put a BIE on a bill.
Okay, first of all,
identity extremist on American dollar bill.
Like, if they put him on the 5, it would go down to the $2. It would be like worth $2.50 all of a sudden.
Well, no, it'd be worth 3/5.
I think.
So, 3/5.
You guys aren't thinking right. Nolan's half white, and you throw on a top hat, evens it out. It's worth $6 now.
Put on white face.
He is half white, but he doesn't look it. Like, he didn't get the.
Oh, I got lucky. Now, if you're black, you're black. I don't care if you have Kathleen Cleaver shade or Kaepernick shade or whatever. Black. But I did get lucky. I'm dark enough where 9 out of 10 people, when they see me, meet me, like, well, you're black, obviously, you know. And then, of course,
you're one of them.
Yeah, you're one of them, exactly. There's no confusion here. So I got lucky from that standpoint. And then with the opposite side of my own folks, growing up, you know, there wasn't, again, that question wasn't really asked. It was like, well, are you Mexican? Are you Cambodian? What are you? No, you know, I still get made fun of because of being half white. Like, I'd say something about, blackness or black politics. Is oh, shut up, you're half white. You know, that whole thing. But,
See, I grew up in a house where I had a great aunt who was white passing, but if you called her white, like, and she died several years ago of Alzheimer's, but anybody who ever knew her will tell you, like, if you ever called her white, she would stop you. Like, whatever you were doing, I remember once I was in church. This is a tangent. Oh, well, I've already started. I was in church, and I think I had just, like, learned the word interracial, and I was talking to her and my great uncle Robert, and I was like, "Oh, y'all are in an interracial relationship," and she, like, cussed me out in church for calling her a white lady. She would tell you she was not a white lady, but that's kind of like from her time period, like from the 50s and 60s. You couldn't be both, unless you dated someone who was going to be cool with coming back to your black parents' house, which, I mean, I'm sure they existed, but.
Well, and distractions. The whole colorism aspect, the one drop rule, or in the indigenous people's case, blood quantum. It's just a distraction. It's to, people delay whatever progress they're trying to make within the movement or within our own lives, or just us having a nice day. On a Friday, December the 22nd, it's always something. There's always some kind of distraction that they'll throw out at you. This, what's this woman's name? Kaya.
That woman. Oh yeah, that woman.
Yeah. I'm lost.
I was looking at some of her tweets, and I was like, "Oh,
who's this?
Gonna get eaten alive." She's some woman that Trump appointed to some position. What was it?
Oh, the white lady that with the blonde hair that was a native ambassador or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got it.
I knew he was bad at appointments when he put Kellyanne Conway over the opioid crisis. Mm-hmm. I was like, what in the hell does Kellyanne Conway know about public health?
I'll be honest. She looks When I see her on interviews, she looks like she knows a lot about opioids.
You know what? I also feel that way, and so my friends were talking about she's going to make it worse. Not that. That's mean.
Did you see that? Speaking of that Kaya lady, did you see her? I can't think of who did Trump call Pocahontas? I can't think of her name right now.
Elizabeth Warren.
Warren.
She's on there just trashing her. And I'm like, did you look in the mirror? Did you see? Yeah, look at her tweets. Just go down. It was like a few days ago. She's like, fake natives like Elizabeth Warren have no place or something she was saying. I was like, whoa, ain't that the,
wow.
Hardcore.
Wow. Pot. Meat kettle.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, I was going to say, ain't that the pot calling the kettle native, but I figured no one would understand the reference.
I did. That's good. You should actually put that on a shirt.
So I stopped myself.
Should give that to some of our allies and tell them to put it on the shirt.
Yeah. Let it be native made. There's too many clothing. There's too much clothing apparel that looks native but isn't made by natives, and they are having more of their culture stolen. But yeah, it's just there's always some kind of distraction. I'd even call this Mueller thing a distraction. I call this Flynn thing a distraction. I will call Russia a distraction, because look at this. You have Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Okay, Hillary steals election from Bernie. Well, then you go back in time before that. Bernie got help getting his his elections rigged in Vermont to become a state senator and stay a state senator, U.S. senator, and then Hillary, Bernie, but then the U.S. presidential election 2016, bam, Trump and Hillary. Trump steals election from Hillary. Okay, but we're only going to talk about Trump and Hillary right now with that. What about Trump's pummeling of Syria, taking the lead from Obama and Hillary? What about ICE? What about Bears Ears? What about No Dapple? I mean, what about appointing Jeff Sessions to be Attorney General? Like, there's 100 million things you can get Trump for, and just like with any president, it's like with Bill Clinton with the sexual misconduct with Lewinsky. There's 100 million things you could have gotten Clinton for. The crime bill, welfare reform. I mean, give me the Palestine genocide. But no. We're going to focus on something to just distract you from real important issues affecting you personally on a day-to-day basis. It's the American way.
I tend to be more of the opinion that, things are put out as distractions. Things are. I'm not saying that they're not. But I tend to think it's your responsibility not to be distracted or to be able to sift through. I know that sucks, and I hate to make things about personal responsibility, but it's like you always got to walk and chew gum at the same time. They're smaller things of not that great of importance. There are bigger things that should probably get a lot more attention than they do. A lot of that is because, a lot of the reasons that they don't is how our news system is set up. It's based on ratings, so our evening news has to compete with, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for ratings. So they're trying to keep people interested, which results in a bunch of do-nothing, feel-good pieces.
I agree with you. I just think the issue is you got a lot of really stupid people that will just say, oh, Fox News or Breitbart, however you say that stupid thing. They said this. No reason to fact check or look into it any further.
Well, yeah, people are going to news organizations now to have their opinions validated, not to really be informed. And that's like a paradigm shift. Well, I don't know. Has there ever been a time where people were really subjective and objective? And really listen to both sides. I know we like to talk about the past as though we were more so that way, but I don't know. I kind of feel like people always want to hear what they want to hear.
Yeah, I think they made it about two sides. I think there's a lot of sides to a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you look at this country and especially the media. The answer to your question, Derek, would be no. you can go back all the way to the beginning of this country. There's a paper called the Gazette of the United States, and they had these amazingly glowing things to say about George Washington, who was one of the worst people to ever live. In 1972, you have the New York Times. They eulogized J. Edgar Hoover, who had Martin Luther King and Malcolm X killed. You had
People think Kissinger's a great man right now.
Kissinger and Albright.
Yep.
Two snow demons who've killed so many colored people, it's not even funny. 500,000 Iraqi children, she says, on air on 60 Minutes. I don't care about them. It's U.S. imperialism.
People aren't going to view that stuff within that context, though, because then it would change their perception about themselves. Like, you know, like everybody has to, like, go to sleep and feel like they're, like, a good person. Or, like, that they're, I don't know, pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. Like, a person's perception and need to, I don't know, feel good about the decisions that they make, that's going to keep most people from taking the views that I think that you've laid out, unless you're actually a member of the communities being targeted, and even then, it can be difficult.
Oh yeah, there was I can't remember the name of the organization because I blacked it out in rage, but there was a organization trying to advance things for black folks, modern day, right now, exists today, and they somehow were able to get legislation passed to get a statue of Nat Turner up in public, which is incredible. And this is in Virginia. Now, on the surface, you're like, all right, yes. But then I checked their website, and on their website, they are just having praise showered down on Abraham Lincoln, saying he is on the same level of a hero as Martin Luther King. And if you know your history, Abraham Lincoln was in fact a white supremacist. He said that we should never be equal to white people, and you know that I would assume that organization is black run because Nat Turner statue. But yeah, even there, and even when you're talking about allegedly radical people of color or activists or intellectuals, Tashani Coates, Cornel West, they're both compromised. And speaking of a distraction, again, the issue that was brought up when they started going at each other was, Cornell's, really, he's been fighting for us in the streets. We got to listen to Cornel. And Tashani, I'm probably botching his first name, but at this point I don't even care. Coates, he needs to fix himself. He's praising Obama and all this wrong stuff. But wait a minute, you got Cornel endorsing Bernie Sanders pretty hard during this last election. Okay,
so did
why are we talking about
Mike? So did
Killer Mike, Rosario Dawson?
Anyway.
Yeah. So why aren't we talking? The real issue with that, at least. Hey, how about we look at what this system is, what it does to us, and stop apologizing for it, like West and Coates has done, obviously, even more. But no, we're going to have a distraction and just have like a hissy fit between the two and participate in it. But this just
can't do it because we haven't even begun the conversation of this is what is behind our society's ills. This is why people are so unhappy. This is why black people are saying what they're saying. This is why Native people are saying what they're saying. And until we can have some kind of, and this does not give me a lot of hope because America sucks at like in-depth conversations, like just talking about something in depth, not from like point of view that's not. I feel like everything we talk about in America is like the Sparks Notes version. Like we don't ever like actually get the encyclopedia down and like crack the book.
Yeah.
So that's one of our problems. But until we are able to have some kind of national conversation about that stuff, it's gonna stay like this, because basically no politician is going to be able to be elected and do all the things that we would want or that we would suggest that they do, because I mean, I don't even feel like America has like a left, like the Democrats aren't really leftists. No. I don't really feel like, I feel like most Democrats are mostly concerned, and I know this actually because living in the South, like the common denominator between every Democrat is usually the South, like trying to appeal or trying to appear cool enough to like peel off like those Republican light votes. And until we can actually discuss real issues on the left and real policy proposals and be able to like go in them in depth and talk about why they're better, say, than what we have now, you can't expect a politician basically to go in there and do it because there's no constituency for it. And the constituency that there is, they don't think is reliable to actually come and vote.
Well, and that has shown its head, reared its head multiple times in this nation's history. You go back to Abraham Lincoln appointing Andrew Johnson vice president to get more of the overt racists on his side, more of the Southerners on his side. Lincoln was a Republican, which today would be a Democrat, and Johnson was a Democrat, which today would be a Republican. John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson. And you could look at Bobby Kennedy in that as well. You know, they both let's Lyndon. He'll get the Southern votes.
Yep.
You know, forget the colored people.
There's always this need to appeal to like this lowest common denominator of people who might vote for you, but who probably are not going to vote for you. And it's about appealing to them and trying to appear in the middle instead of everybody like actually just taking the position that they have and making a case for it, for or against.
Yeah, I think a lot of them take the middle because they are like, I don't see a major difference between the two major parties, and I'm wondering. I'm wondering if going back to what we were talking about a second ago with Cornel West and all the other people we were naming, if they're doing the same thing the Hillary and the Trump supporters are doing in their own mind, they're choosing what they perceive to be the lesser of however many evils. So for them to back Bernie or Hillary or Jill Stein or whoever, they're saying, "Oh, I think this is a lesser evil," and I'm assuming the system will save us eventually. You know what I mean? They don't understand that you can't be saved by the system that's oppressing you isn't going to save you. You have to go away from that system, destroy the system, and rebuild something else.
But in a world where you're taught that America is exceptional and all these other things, we have all these narratives that prevent us from ever getting to that conversation. And I'm realizing as I get older how just ingrained they are. Like I was saying this to Nolan, like if you really think that you're like the best in the world and no one's better than you, do you really have an incentive to like be looking at your system and saying, oh, how can I make people happier? How can I better fulfill a government formed by the people? You know, all that propaganda, what it's supposed to be about. But I don't think that you actually have an incentive to do any of those things if you really believe that you're the best.
Yeah, but they taught us that in school, and I don't know how old you are, Sir Derek, but the thing is, you're what?
Going on 26.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, you've been around pretty much the whole time the internet's been around. But imagine now compared to way back before there was a way to contact people all over the world and talk to them on a daily basis. Then they could pull that like, oh, America's the best. Nothing's this good. Everyone else is oppressed and they're living in poverty and you're so lucky you're from here. But now you can just talk to people and see that's not the case. In some places, they're much happier than we are here, and much better off. And in other places, they're much worse off. I mean,
then we get into the fact that we never actually look in depth at other societies. So, like, there are very few other countries that America, like, ever turns its eye towards, especially with the intention of, like, learning something and, like, oh, let me see how they do this system, so I might, figure out how I should do something. Like, it's like we don't seem to be that kind of place, or it just doesn't. It's very self-aggrandizing here.
Well, yeah, it's America first, America last, America in third place, only America. There's a line in a Chris Rock movie, Head of State, where he ran for president, where his opponent, his slogan was, "God bless America and no place else." That's basically the unofficial slogan of America, and which is ironic because they have allies in Europe.
Hey Nolan, do you know if America First was actually a old Klan slogan first, or is that just a rumor I was hearing?
I wouldn't be surprised. That it sounds alt whitey. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if someone, because sometimes people put stuff out just to bash insignificant things about the right. Who cares their slogans? If they are a Klan slogan, then it makes sense. But to bring it up, but to make that up is kind of silly. So I don't know. I was just asking if either one.
I do know this: white people invented everything.
I know that blood, you will not replace us. I know that phrase, and like that the phrase is like blood and soil, which is what we heard some of the nationalists.
Those are English translations of Nazi phrases, right?
Those are very much Nazi inspired.
Well, I was wondering because America First is one of the ones that the Republicans and Trump and all these people use. I was wondering the history. I'm going to look that up, and we'll try to figure it out before next show. Get to the bottom of that.
Well, you look at other countries in Europe. Some of them have very logical, or at least much more logical than this particular capitalist system in America. Their politics are very advanced by comparison. I know the Netherlands, they have a bunch of parties that all have a chance to gain power each election. New Zealand, which I believe is a U.S. ally, of course, they have the Internet Party. So even though America's allies with all these different countries, even these white countries I just mentioned, they aren't taking any advice from them. They aren't America's not trying to improve itself and look at others and its peers.
America is kind of worse about it, but Europe suffers from its own exceptionalism or ideas about exceptionalism. They certainly aren't as braggadocious about it, but
a lot more logical than this two-party nonsense.
Did y'all know that Trump almost defeated ISIS?
I thought he killed the leader of ISIS with his bare hands, like a bear.
Wow.
I was told.
That does sound like something.
I also heard he was the first man to land on the moon. So he's done a lot. I think we need to. It's about time we give credit to our Commander-in-Chief for all the amazing things he's done.
Like inherit his father's money and
yes.
Other notable things like that.
Just an amazing piece of shit.
Yeah.
I actually don't see how his wife does it. I would be white knuckling. I would be white knuckling it, boy. Like,
wouldn't that be? Isn't that just gold digging?
I don't know what it is. I know it's something that I don't have the strength to do.
It's when gold digging goes wrong.
And like, I have needed money. I have needed like a way out, but I don't think I could, man. Like I know I couldn't actually.
Yeah. Black, white, or green. I don't think most of us could with that.
I do like it when like he like I like how they don't touch one another. Like there have been times where he's like tried to grab her hand or like they like awkwardly shake each other's hands sometimes. Like you can tell like that is not a real marriage.
They probably sleep in
Well,
bedrooms.
I mean,
Wouldn't you?
think about just before the election, it came out that publicly, I mean, really, really publicly, which probably upset her because, you know, even if you are a gold digger, you're trying to keep up appearances, this guy's going to run for president, probably going to win right now. But they came out that he tried to, that married reporter, he tried to mess with her when she was upstairs in the same building with pregnant with his baby. He was trying to have sex with this reporter. And that came out really publicly. That probably upset her too. I mean, even if she didn't love him and it's just a money thing, it's still like in public now everybody knows this.
I would thank everyone that he hits on for their sacrifice if I was her. Like anyone who can keep his attention off me, that would be a welcome respite. So I don't even know if I'd be upset.
It was just a theory. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm saying.
I don't know if it is either.
Yeah, it was a theory I heard brought up back then.
Get to stay. Like if she got divorced now, she would get to stay, right? Like she has a kid who's an American citizen, so like they couldn't deport her, right?
No, your kids have nothing to do with it. But I think she has citizenship, so I don't think it matters.
I think when you have like a kid on like U.S. soil, I thought you can get like your.
No, your kid's a citizen. That's why these Mexican families are getting torn apart.
Well, no, that's with Mexicans. I figured that they would do a little bit different.
Oh, I see.
Good Europeans.
I thought
But he'd declare her an enemy of the state. She'd be gone in 5 seconds if she.
Oh, yeah. I
don't think that's the case. I think
memoir, Ivanka. Yeah. Just get in touch with me and we'll start.
Well, Ivanka's the daughter. It's Melina.
Malignant.
I don't know the names.
Malignant tumor. Trump. That's her name.
I don't want to learn who they are.
I wish I did know who Donald Trump was.
Well, that's the sad thing is you're not the only one in the country that confuses his daughter with his wife. The way he talks about his daughter.
That's true. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. This guy's disgusting. I don't know how he even was able to run. I mean, he's just so horrible. He's like the worst person. I think last week.
Unreserved terms, like just terrible and like unreserved fashion, just awful.
Doesn't even try to act civilized.
And again, you have a Congress checks and balances supposed to make sure this government stays on track.
We want taxes. We want to give the rich even more money. So we're going to pretend like we don't see all this stuff.
Those Democrats folded like a cheap suit, and those Republicans took the money and ran.
That's what I hate about Democrats. Like they are the worst. I don't know why they can't make a solid argument for any position. But sometimes I hear Democrats talking about a position that I agree with, but the speaker who happens to be talking about, I'm just like, I don't even believe it coming out of your mouth. Like I just.
It's because of Democratic.
What did we do to deserve?
But we didn't do anything to deserve this. The country did. But I was doing some digging yesterday as I was waiting at the doctor's office. Apparently, we're all in agreement. The Koch brothers and Koch Industries is of the devil, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this last election cycle, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Democratic politicians take money from the Koch brothers.
I would be very surprised if this was the first election that a Democrat has taken money from the Koch brothers. Like they're so wealthy.
No, it's not the first time. It's hardly the first time.
Okay.
Obama did.
Yeah.
Hillary did. Joe Biden did.
There are some people who are so wealthy. and like they control. There's this one guy. His name's Peter. He's in like the Trump administration. He's like gay or whatever. But I was looking him up, and like he's like a guy who is almost impossible even to boycott. Like he has that many businesses that if you were just like, all right, I don't want to have anything to do with this individual, I'm going to boycott anything he's involved with, you wouldn't even be able to do it because they're that wealthy. Like they're just names who Democrat, Republican, right, left.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be elected, you are on your knees.
You sell your soul. If you want to be a Washington politician, you have to sell your soul. It's actually 10 members of the Democratic Party took money, Bernie Sanders included.
Yep.
Bernie took over $1,300 from the Koch brothers. And then this really made me laugh. I had no idea that George Soros, he's given money to Herman Cain, George H.W. Bush, Trent Lott, Bob Dole, Mitt Romney,
A lot of people do
Paul
that.
Ryan.
They'll like hedge, and so like they'll give money to both sides. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that way you paid for everybody, so no matter who wins.
Mm-hmm. But I laughed at that because we've probably, I think all of us have gotten that accusation levied upon us. Oh, you're part of Soros's organization.
Oh yeah,
Soros, but you have a bunch of Republicans who've taken money from Soros, and Paul Ryan, who has absolutely no soul, no conscience at all, he takes some cash from Soros. So I was just laughing. Last night, and I was laughing. Yes, Tim.
I actually got my Soros check last week.
Well, congratulations.
It was $13 million. So I figured I wanted to go full circle with it and donate it to the Trump 2020 president's campaign.
up. There's some breaking news. Federal prosecutors subpoena Deutsche. I don't know how to. It's like a German bank. Records tied to
Deutsche
Kirshner.
Bank.
Yeah,
Deutsche
tied
Bank.
to Kirshner Company.
They had some.
Wait a minute.
They were connected to the Nazis back during the World War II.
This is a first on our show, so to the two people listening, yeah, we asked a question earlier, and I think we're going to get an answer. I think that pretty much answered.
Yeah.
Who's next? Kushner.
Well, he was already he had already fucked up because he filled out a security clearance form and then had to amend it 30 plus times, and that is a big no.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I work in security and not for the government, but I mean anybody who works in security will tell you if you have to fill one of those things out, you have to be very mindful of what the hell you're saying because you can be prosecuted. And the only reason he hasn't been prosecuted by now is because of who he is. So it actually makes me happy that they're looking into him because he's gotten away with way too much stuff.
Yeah, and we just said earlier he's the one we all think will roll kind of collectively more than maybe Junior or the other guy, Eric.
Yep, he's more likely. Well, he won't survive without Harry. I mean, Ron and Hermione. He reminds me of Harry Potter, so I often talk about him in Potter terms.
Harry Potter.
Wait, Jared Kushner reminds you of Harry Potter?
No, Jared Kushner reminds me of Harry Potter.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, he does. He kind of looks like him. So I often put his little hijinks into Potter terminology, or what I can remember of it, anyway.
I gotta Photoshop some round glasses on him and see this because I just don't see it.
You should, if you put Daniel Radcliffe's face on his body.
Not to kill the mood, but I just read that a 6-year-old child was killed by the police in Texas yesterday. Cameron Prescott, 6 years old.
What? What happened? Do you have a story behind it, or that's just?
Yeah.
It happened in San Antonio. There was a manhunt. 6-year-old boy fatally shot.
Wait, a manhunt for a 6-year-old boy?
Well,
they were
somebody else.
Yeah, they were obviously.
Oh.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
He could have been a
fatally shot when sheriff deputies opened fire on a woman at a mobile home park after a lengthy manhunt, and somehow the child was killed by the police.
Obviously a poor person if it was at a mobile home park.
Right.
That's terrible. Why did she have?
The woman had no connection to the child or the family, so
they just opened fire aimed towards somebody's house or something.
There are a lot of migrants who are killed all the time by like border crossing agents. There was a big case that caught like the news, like the national news, not too long ago, but that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm. Or even then involve the police, but off the coast of Africa, or coasts of Africa, you have migrants, even children. You just see a bunch of dead bodies on a ship, 10, 20, 30, 40 at a time. And then, of course, the ones, some of those who survive are obviously taken into slavery in Libya. As I say, white supremacy is all-encompassing. It's engulfed most of the planet. I don't know if I were to ever, and I won't, but if I were to ever just throw in the towel and say white supremacy and American racism, you win, I'm out. I'm going to bounce. I don't know where there would be a place to go that isn't racist.
That's where I always get stuck. It's like, okay, well, where would I go that hasn't been affected by like centuries of anti-blackness and white supremacy?
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. I'm sitting here racking my brain. I mean, there's places where you can go where you'd be safe. There's places, people would protect you, but there's no place where the whole system,
right,
wouldn't be somehow
not looked at as
affected
equal
by white supremacy.
Yeah, I always say.
Well, there's a lot of places you'd be looked at as more equal than the U.S. I'm sure.
Yeah, by comparison, sure, but not in the general scheme of things.
Oh yeah.
I always jump to. Granted, they were in the slave trade and still very racist, but I always look to Holland and Amsterdam, just like, you know what, I'm just going to get high and get drunk all the time and have some safe sex, on a weekly basis and just live a nice life.
And I'll find you in the weed shack. Because that's just all I do. I do it anyway. It's kind of my thing.
It'd be like, Tim, you probably, if we didn't know you were Armenian, you'd be like, aren't you Dutch? All the weed that they smoke over there. Like, calling you home.
Where I should have been from. Yeah, I guess. Was there anything else we wanted to go over? We just pretty much had our first question answered for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the BBC News, and this happened to me yesterday, at the doctor, she said, Merry Christmas, and the story on BBC News, it says, Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays. And obviously, Trump says it should be Merry Christmas. But I find myself more flummoxed by that dilemma with each passing year, and I am still a member of the Christian faith, but still believe it should be Happy Holidays unless you know the person is Christian.
It should be Happy Holidays. I don't know what this thing is where we have to make everything a big deal that doesn't like blatantly acknowledge Christians. Or
this is the war on Christmas we've been talking about, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Even though there are no films about Muhammad, There's not a big national celebration for Ramadan. There's no films about the how Hanukkah became a holiday. You know, the exciting story of the lights and the running out of the oil and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's Christmas, Jesus, Santa.
And you know what? I'm actually
white
for.
Jesus, not
Because my birthday is soon after Christmas. I'm actually for just getting rid of Christmas. Like, still having the day, but like, fuck Christmas.
I know people like you always want to move it away from your birthday because when you were little, you got one double present for everything.
Exactly. And then people just felt like they could readily use that excuse with you. So,
but just celebrating them both, you're extra special. That's why you only need one gift.
No.
Yeah.
We celebrate me because deities don't need birthdays. Hashtag deities don't need birthdays.
I agree with that because, have the day, and first of all, have it in the right month. Jesus wasn't.
Right, it's not even December.
You don't think that's a little bigoted against deities?
No, I don't, because real deities, like, they just arise out of, like, the primordial universe. Like, they don't have birthdays. They always were. They're the first and the last. Like, come on. You don't need a birthday. Be a real deity.
Yeah.
Well, we do know white Jesus is very narcissistic.
Without
a deity's birthday, how are we going to sell all these toys? I mean, let's be real.
The same way the pagans did it. Did the pagans sell toys? I don't know. Did they did that? I'm just talking.
I think they used a red man in a suit. Who goes for that anymore? I mean, a white man in a red suit. A red man in a suit.
Yikes.
It's weird because Santa Claus has really just been kind of outsourced to Amazon. I mean, how is he even still in business? Like, Amazon should officially be Santa now.
Well, maybe that is Santa.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like they probably like moved in on his distribution chains and like took his whole North Pole Enterprises over in an aggressive takeover.
Yeah, but maybe it's a little liquidation there. I mean, maybe they've merged.
There's only
50-50.
one obvious answer. It's elf slavery. It's the only way he can compete.
Exactly. That's why when I went there to the North Pole recently, so many things had changed. Little elves were crying out for freedom. No, I'm just kidding. This is terrible.
It's not festive. They don't even have candy canes at the entrance anymore. Yeah. Anyway.
So much abuse.
See?
Where's our Underground Railroad?
So, Derek, you fit right in with all your tangents. It's awesome.
Yeah. I also have like a dark sense of humor, so...
Well, you have to. Doing the work that we do, we have to.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not willing to be on a tangent, you're kind of worthless to this show, I guess. That seems to be the thing. So, yeah, I mean, anyone else have anything they want to bring up or add, or you want to wrap the show?
I'm good, homie.
Nolan?
What's everybody doing for Kwanzaa?
What's the last day of Kwanzaa?
Kwanzaa never ends.
No, it's 8 days, right?
Every day's Kwanzaa.
You never been to the Hack House? Kwanzaa every day is Kwanzaa. Oh, what's happening?
January 1st. Okay, January 1st. Okay.
July 9th. We're still celebrating Kwanzaa.
That's why I don't know one person celebrates Kwanzaa.
I don't either. Well, I do have Jewish friends, but I don't ever see them like make a big deal about it.
What do Jewish friends have to do with Kwanzaa?
Isn't Kwanzaa the... Oh, no, that's...
No, Kwanzaa's a holiday that was made up for black people, but I don't know anybody, not one black person I know.
I think
people celebrate it in 1 or 2 years, but it's not like a tradition that people do.
I actually do know people who celebrate Kwanzaa, but I mean, their Kwanzaa looks like Christmas to me, so.
Yeah, I got in a phase for about I don't know 2 years when I was a teenager, doing whatever I could to be my blackest as a half white, as a little mulatto boy. You know, I trying my darndest, but yeah, I agree.
And you know what? I think a lot of mixed race people go through that because I mean, I have admixtures in my bloodline, obviously, but as a person who phenotypically expresses pretty much black, I have never felt the need to celebrate Kwanzaa. But I have many mixed race friends who have.
Well, wasn't it at first kind of marketed as an actual African holiday, and then later on people realized it was just some guy made it up?
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the heck Kwanzaa is supposed to be like. I don't celebrate Kwanzaa. I hardly celebrate Christmas. Like
I said, the people I know who celebrate Kwanzaa did like 1 or 2 years when it was a popular thing, and then most people have never celebrated it that I know.
I don't buy adults gifts. Well, I do, but it's like very rare. It's like I have to really like you, and I have to really see something that I think that you might like. But I kind of feel like Christmas and the holidays in general are for kids mostly.
Well, that's the problem. It's this is commercialism of it, and it's not like we were saying. If the holiday was just about celebrating Jesus' birth, all right, cool. And you're Christian, you believe in that, God bless you. But that's not what this is. This is capitalism, materialism, Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you know, who gets the most presents, who got the best present, who got the ugliest sweater. You know, it's all
at my house. The adults we eat. We have a good day, and we just enjoy each other's company. Like the presents are for the kids, or some random person you might have picked something else for. Like, it's not
Secret Santa at work or something.
I don't even get them gifts. I don't want to buy people I work with gifts.
No. It's too bad I didn't take the traditional route, you know, of an occupation. Because if I worked in an office, you know what I'd do for Secret Santa? I'd buy everybody the same present. I'd buy them the autobiography of Malcolm X.
No, you'd buy me a drone if I was your coworker.
Droner in chief. God bless Barack Obama.
No, I mean a drone so I can watch the police and stuff with a camera. I don't mean a weaponized drone.
No.
There you
go. I knew what you meant.
Not the flying death machines that are continue to be used by the United States government. The nice drones to just spy on people, which the police also use to spy on us.
How do you do that? Back up! I have a weaponized drone, and you grab the controller and set it up.
That's why I don't want Amazon or any of these other companies to deliver packages to use drone technology, because it puts more money into drone technology and makes it easier for governments and militaries to use drones as weapons to harm people and kill people.
That's technology in general. That's the dualism of all technology. I was reading this story that this group in Kenya used a drone to find this like this underground water spring or whatever. It's like this groundwater place in Kenya. It basically can supply the country's water needs for like the next 40 years. But they were using like drones to like fly around like places in the country that aren't usually visited by people. So yeah, I mean, yeah, all technology exists within like this dualism of it can obviously help a lot of people and it can hurt a lot of people. It's not really even the technology.
Well,
It's really the people
it should be illegal to make it hurt people. That's what I believe.
Well, that's the thing. It's
you would have to make it illegal for humans to hurt people. Then
There you go. No problem. Let's do it.
but the problem is you have a society, Western society, having such a stranglehold over these types of decisions. I think until America falls, I would just limit. It has to be like a huge limitation on drones, or honestly, just get rid of all of them. Because,
I honestly don't see it happening. Like
I mean,
America's
I don't see
not
it happening either. I'm just
America is not even like close to being the only country who uses drones. Like
Oh, I know that. I know.
China uses drones. It isn't even like an industrialized nation fully yet, and China uses the shit out of drones.
Yeah, I'm just. America is the drone capital of the world. That's all I'm saying. It would cut down on a lot of deaths if Trump or whoever is next, Cory Booker or Liz Warren, it would cut down a lot of deaths for them not to be able to use drones to kill children in the Middle East. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm against them killing people in the Middle East, but
yeah,
the government is always going to.
Will they find a way? Is that?
I was going to say it's always going to do what it wants to do with the least amount of energy. And I feel like drones are just like this terrible solution to that. It's like, how do I escalate a war without committing ground troops, which might
Without having to
sway
pay
public-
soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah, and which would sway public opinion maybe against the war. Because once people get on the ground is when things get a lot very, very complicated. So drones kind of represent like this terrible.
Yeah, look, no white Americans are dying. We're just killing dark people with machines. It's glorious.
That's the thing that drives me absolutely crazy. I mean, if Nigeria or Somalia or Uganda said, you know what, I don't like what Barack Obama or Donald Trump has been doing to our people. You know, they're terrorizing our people, they're killing our people in the United States. We need to teach them a lesson. And then they drop some drones on the White House, and bam, there goes Obama. Bam, there goes Trump. Why is that not okay? But it's okay for America to go into another country and drop bombs and kill whoever they think is a bad person and doing evil and a terrorist and all that.
I mean, it's not just okay for America. I mean, Russia took over Crimea. China is occupying Tibet right now, and maybe Taiwan soon.
Australia is occupying. I forgive me. I don't know what the original name of the land or lands. What is now called Australia, but Australia is occupying land as well, and New Zealand.
Well, I think Nolan. Wasn't your point though? I mean, I think that was an interesting point, and people need to really think about that. What if other countries, maybe combined, got together and treated us like we treat the rest of the world?
I wouldn't blame them.
I wouldn't either, but I'm saying that people here be like, why? It's so horrible. They're treating us like a third world country. They're bombing us. Our city's in rubble. We have no food. We have no water. They have soldiers in our streets. And then you'd be like, oh, karma, I guess, right?
There's a stat. There's around 50 terrorist or extremist groups in Africa, the continent. Okay. There are around 50 terrorist and extremist groups, not counting the police or any law enforcement, which also are terrorists. There's around 50 extremist or terrorist groups in the United States. Only one of those two lands I mentioned, Africa, United States, are going the other way to drop drones deploy troops, kill civilians, kill who they think are terrorists. We aren't going over. We ain't coming from Nigeria. We ain't coming from Somalia, and saying, you know what, these all white folks, they're too dangerous. They're terrorists. We got to take them out. Jeff Sessions, he is just decimating the black community, and we can't have that. We got to take him out.
Hold on, the delivery guys here. 1 second. I'm sorry.
Why don't we
That's
just call
the
him?
FBI.
Why don't we just call him Beauregard?
Beauregard?
Beauregard, Jeff Beauregard Sessions.
Oh, jeez.
Just call him by his middle name. That should just be what people call him.
Is that his middle name?
I think it is. Look it up. Like I said, I can't get online right now with that because my bandwidth is too low.
Net neutrality.
Or Spectrum.
Yeah, Beauregard. But no, but jeez, you know his ancestors are slave owners. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions the Third.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
told you.
fucking kidding me?
Alright.
Master Sessions.
Wow. So yeah, I guess on that note,
I'm calling him Jefferson Sessions from now on. All right,
I'm just gonna
Jefferson
call him
Sessions. You
Beauregard.
call him Beauregard. I'm calling him Jefferson Sessions.
Just slap him in the back of the head. Shut up, Beauregard. Anyway,
He's got to be about 4'1", right?
I don't know. He looks like
He just has a. I don't care if you're short or tall. His mindset, his personality, and his morality, very, very, very low, very low. So I mean, he has a very small personality. It seems like a very small person. Is all I'm saying.
he looks like the kind of person that sips mint juleps on his front porch while polishing his shotgun, getting ready to take it to the next Klan meeting and show it off.
I bet him and Hillary Clinton have like little get-togethers in the summer where they do what she used to do with Bill, have the prison workers be her slaves, at white parties, garden parties.
So some Paula Deen kind of thing.
Yeah, probably Paula Deen. You know,
I mean, that's what Paula Deen did. She wanted a slave-themed wedding. That's why everyone went crazy. She wanted
I thought it was the N-word. Oh, jeez.
She did use the N-word, but then she also had like a slavery thing.
And she's back on TV?
I hope not. Is she?
Because they let her back on after the N-word.
I don't know that.
I don't
Wow.
know. I don't keep up with Paula Deen.
Nobody does. When he said that, that's the only time I've ever heard of a slave-themed party was with Paula Deen.
I don't need to.
Hillary, read, what's the book called? It Takes a Village.
I'm not going to do that.
I mean...
I don't read any book by any presidential candidate because I just assume it's propaganda.
That's fair.
I haven't read Barack Obama's books.
I wouldn't read any book like. I mean, why?
I just don't.
Well, she was on Dancing with the Stars, and Positively Paula.
Yeah, let's save this for your
It's
show.
on right now. It's on right now. December 9th was this last episode. They're taking a little holiday break. When St. Patrick's Day comes around, so I guess they had a little rerun, or maybe not. Maybe they want to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in December. They gave her another show. White Supremacy Never Apologized. Paula Deen.
She actually isn't she doing something with Snoop?
I hope not. I can't lose another black celebrity this week. I've lost.
That's Martha Stewart, not Paula Deen.
Oh, yeah, that is.
That's why I was laughing so hard.
I was
gonna have a heart attack, man.
The thought of Paula Deen and Snoop made me laugh. Like that's the most terrible.
God, no.
Whoever thought of that needs to be fired.
Yeah, that would be. I can't always tell white people apart, but I'm just.
They all look alike. I mean, let's be.
There we go. I just don't keep up with either of those two individuals.
Well, I guess that is what Whose Culture is for. We'll talk about Paula Deen. We're going to talk about Die Hard because apparently that is a Christmas movie, and we'll talk about Paula Deen as well.
Okay.
Maybe she has a Twitter. I'll try to invite her.
Yeah, I'm sure she's going to decline that invitation.
Do you know we tried to get Glenn Keane, who who was one of the supervising animators on Disney's Pocahontas. He's the one who said Pocahontas has to be sexy. Of course.
You tried to get him on the show?
Yeah, repeatedly. I said, look, come on the show. You can make this right. You can apologize to Native people in the Native community. He never responded, never said anything back, of course.
Maybe he's not apologetic for it.
Right.
Well, obviously he's not. I think that's clear.
Very rarely do people volunteer to walk into the lion's den.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Nixon did it. Took him a while.
I mean, you can always just come on and say, look, I didn't see it like that. Now you've explained it to me, and I was wrong. Whatever.
But no one does that.
Yeah,
no one does that.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, think about how respected that would be as someone like Glenn Keane, who a lot of people kind of respect just for his artwork. You know what I mean? He's a really good artist. And then you did something that was pretty racist, and maybe you can argue you didn't know. I mean, that seems to be the argument most of them use. So, or they don't care.
Pharrell did that. He did some disgusting Native appropriation. I believe Christy Teigen or John Legend also apologized for that. Said I didn't know. Kerry Washington did. Of course, I'm naming people of color, not white people. But that's what you should do. It should be that think about it. And then, okay, wait a minute. Wait, I was wrong. I was off. I apologize.
Yeah, but especially from listening to your show and talking to other people on my other shows, and even Gear on this show and stuff, and you, but from people, like, that really hurt a lot of people, that show, that Pocahontas movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made people look at themselves in a really bad light, like they were less than... at first that one woman you had on there really stuck with me. She said, like, I used to sing those songs. I was calling myself my own people as savage, and I didn't even realize what I was saying. You know what I mean?
It's the perception thing again. It's like that person wants to believe that he's like a great artist and that he's a good animator, and he made a children's film that's beloved. That's a lot better. Or that's a better.
I don't know so much as he wrote it or anything other than just kind of was like. An animator is more like an actor that draws a character.
But that was his project, and so he has a vested interest in seeing himself in, I'm a creator, I was doing this for kids. He wants to see himself in that light, not I damaged someone's perception of themselves. Like, I insulted an entire group of people. Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, that would be so awesome. Not even on your show, just a public statement, like I
don't care where you do it. I don't care.
Yeah, just release it on social media somewhere. It doesn't have to go on any show. It just it's been brought to my attention.
I've done it. I mean, I've said some stupid, ignorant stuff because we're all colonized or colonizees, to some degree. Because we've been indoctrinated so much. I mean, and you talk about Sloane. She was on the premiere episode of Who's Culture. She was talking about that savages, barely even human. She was seeing that as a kid. It reminds me when I was a kid. I watched the Olympics. Of course, rooting for American athletes, especially black athletes, and they get up on the podium. And I'd get all like into it, like when the national anthem would be played, like but that gets in my head. It's like a dirty virus, like a dirty liquid virus that gets into your brain, and that's a good way of thinking. But that's
not my style of music. But yeah, but like I said, that's so simple to do. Just say it's been brought to my attention that the film I made actually ended up hurting a lot of Native women and young girls and their perception of themselves. I really apologize. I've seen the error of my ways. I'm going to try to work to make sure this never happens again. Thank the whole community here for educating me on my mistakes. I'm just a stupid old white dude. Oh well, whatever. Just makes sense. It's that simple. And you know how much respect and love that would get.
Yeah.
But and it would also make other people think that are in his position. like, hey, he said this is wrong. He regretted what he did later. He had to apologize. Maybe we should just stay away from stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know,
Be a little bit more careful with how you represent.
It goes a long. It goes a long way when that happens, especially when it comes from a white person, because when you're in that position of privilege, it goes a long way because most of the people on your side of the table believe this is right. It's the same thing with this Me Too movement. You know, men do not want to stop doing horrible things to women. That's why we keep coming up with every excuse in the book. We victim blame. We blame them for the disgusting things we do to them. But yeah, you're right. It would go a long way.
It comes down to the same thing with slavery, and it's thinking of other people, human beings, as your property never leads to anything good. Whether it's a woman you view as your property or a slave or anything, no person is property. There's the problem. Get that crap out your mind. Mm-hmm. It's that simple.
Decolonize your penis. Okay?
You killed me with that last week.
And your brain, you know.
Well, and your brain, obviously. But I'm talking to men.
Decolonize
our penis.
You can go up a little higher.
Well, our hearts, our minds, our souls, our
decolonize your entire world. That's
that
whole simple.
Thing. Yeah, like it's but that's the thing. It's this stuff, the sexism, Islamophobia, the racism, the anti-blackness, anti-nativeness. It's so freaking ingrained. It's everywhere. I can't go, and this is the problem when you're aware of what's going on. This is our problem, the folks on this show right now. I can't go 5 minutes without seeing something that is racist. The fact that there's an American flag about 5 feet from my house, at another person's house. John Wayne Airport is in Orange County. I'm probably about 30 minutes away from there. Washington D.C. is the nation's capital. It just goes on and on and on. But everybody thinks that's okay. That when Charlottesville came about, people started going, well, should we take down the founding fathers monuments? Why are you even asking the question? This should be very simple, but people don't know.
They're never going to see it the way that we see it. They're just not. Like, they're asking the question because they're Europeans who came over and had a totally different experience with this system that we have. Mm-hmm. So to them, it's a good thing. So it is a question to ask from their perception.
I don't know. I think we're just a bunch of trained primates, and we can be retrained, especially if you start with younger generations.
We can be retrained, but where the difficulty comes in is when you're starting to change people's perception of themselves. So when they've been responsible for upholding a particular oppressive system, they either have to actively participate in stopping that, dismantling it, which is what's required, or they have to justify the system in some way. And a lot of people don't know how to really go about doing the first thing. So they end up doing the second thing, even if they are interested in, making things better, being progressive, all that other good stuff. I think that we sometimes do take for granted that we think about issues like decolonization probably a lot more than the average person does.
Yeah, obviously. They think about not thinking in their mind of the word or the exact process, but they think about colonizing even more.
So everybody doesn't wake up and say today's a lovely day for revolution.
I wish. It's one of two things. It's either let's go make some money, let's do what we gotta do, or resist. We need the resistance. That if it's a fight from white America, it's either a racist fight or one weak ass fight. I mean, it was a tough pill for me to swallow when I realized, wait a minute, Nolan, in terms of the majority of white folks, you're not gonna get them on your side, on our side. You're not gonna get them to look the right way and actually help us. You need to move on, not have them in the liberation equation, the equation for liberation. I'm going to stop myself before I go on a Jesse Jackson type rap spiel, but
there we go. So yeah, today's show was like more tangent than show. That's pretty awesome.
It's the best kind. If you know how to tangent, it's the best kind of show.
We must be tangent gods or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it.
So none of us get birthdays, right, so Derek?
Well, you can have a birthday because no, if you're a deity, then no, you don't get a birthday.
What about being a tangent deity?
It's
no,
deity's a deity.
We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do the birthday.
No more cakes for you, Nolan.
We're gonna save it for
no more candles.
The kids who need it, who are in elementary school, who just want their friends to come over for their birthday, like you did for theirs, and not have some lame excuse about, oh, I'm going to see my grandma. She's 200. This might be her last Christmas with us. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Does anybody have any parting words?
No. Parting words lead to tangents.
Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. Anybody have any parting words for Jefferson Beauregard?
Well, definitely not for him.
I'm
but
sending
if
it.
you are depressed this season, I want you to go out and talk to someone. Because I know a lot of friends who suffer from depression just this time of year.
You know, if you are depressed and you're on Twitter, you can always go to hashtag #OpStopSuicide. It's always there to help. The webpage on there. You can go through our website too, peoplesradiounited.com. Just click on the Stop Suicide, and there's tons of ways to get help through that. You have people that will talk to you. Just use the hashtag on Twitter and say, I need someone to talk to or ask for help, and someone will get with you really fast. Or like I said, there's all these different call-in numbers and different
numbers.
Yeah, different ways of getting help.
1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline Hotline. And obviously during the holidays, a lot of people get very depressed. So yeah, OP Stop Suicide, National Suicide Hotline. Find an outlet, whatever the outlet you feel most comfortable with. Use it, and your life matters.
Definitely. That's a good way. That's a good way to end right there. So thank you, Cedric, and thanks, Nolan, as always.
No problem.
And
happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too, and to everyone listening. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.